Hello. Welcome in to another weekly spirit boost. My name is Tammy Mashtaberty, best-selling author of the book Behind Me, The Universe is Talking to You. And I come on here every Thursday at noon Eastern to share with you something to boost your spirit. I teach people how to tap into what I call the divine higher helpline that is available to us all the time, whether we are trying to manifest, whether we are trying to make a decision, whether we are trying to solve a problem, whether we are trying to just get through the day. The divine higher helpline is available to us. So today I'm here because I want to share with you. I always like to share things from my own life and my own experience that I think will help other people. And so today's Thursday. So last Saturday, my husband, myself, and my sister went to my aunt's house, and my aunt had a group. I just want to make sure the audio is working right on here. Okay, we're good. That we went to my aunt's house, and my aunt had a medium there to do kind of like a small group setting reading. And there was about 10 of us, I think, that were in the group. And if you're watching on Instagram or Facebook, I have linked the medium that did the session with us. You can find his website. His name is Anthony Maraca. For those of you on Instagram, you can actually follow him. It's just at Anthony Maraca. It's Mrocka. And he's actually based in New Jersey. So he came to my aunt's house to do this group reading. And I love attending these because I learn so much, even if I don't get read, even if my mom doesn't come through, although Lord knows Marianne always comes through. But even if she doesn't, it's fascinating to me and I learn so much. And so that's why I wanted to come on here and share with you what I learned, because I always say I'm not a practicing medium. I was getting signs from my mother and understanding things, before I ever opened my intuition. And that's why I wrote the book, The Universe is Talking to You, Tap into Signs and Synchronicity, because we can tap into that divine higher helpline, right? We can get signs from our loved one. You can communicate with them. You do not have to be a practicing medium. However, it is fascinating to watch a practicing medium do that work, make that connection, bring those messages through. So I want to share with you, without giving sort of details from anybody that was there, just some of the insights that I gleaned from this, because I think anybody that lost a loved one at any point in their life, whether it's a recent loss, a loss that has been a while, whether it's a parent that died old, someone who died suddenly, whatever your loss is, it does not matter. I think anybody that has lost someone wants to know they're around, wants to hear from them. So I'm just going to share with you some of the insights that I learned from this. And also, so below, in the link below on YouTube and YouTube and Facebook, you'll see the link to Anthony's website. You will also see the link to my pendulum class. Those of you who have been asking me, the doors are open now. You can sign up. It's an annual class. I only teach it one time a year. If you sign up, you get unlimited access to the replay, but it's not available on demand afterwards. It's happening live July 27th. And it's called Unlock the Secrets of the Pendulum, the Elevated Way. And I teach you way beyond getting your yes and no. You're going to learn how to find and clear limiting beliefs, find blocks and clear them in your chakra system, test food and drinks and beverages and drinks and beverages. That's the same thing, Tammy. And supplements and household cleaning products and all of that to see what the energy is of that product, if it's healthy, if it's toxic, if there's an allergen, if it's good for your body, and how to do it all for pets and animals and loved ones and friends. Anyway, okay, so that link is also there. And Instagram, we're going to be adding that to my bio, so you can sign up for that as well. But I think the link is actually in my stories from yesterday. Okay, so I had to get that out before I get into my thing, because then I'm going to forget to tell you that the link is below. So here are some of the things there's 7 different things that I want to talk about that came through. So, first of all, the first thing that I want to tell you is, and you may already know this, but your loved ones on the other side, and your angels and your guides and anybody that's sort of you're communicating with or calling in higher helpers from the other side, right? They all know and can read your mind and know what you are thinking. So here is how this was sort of proven during this. My and this wasn't even just me, but this was other people. They would say, "Were you just are you worried about this? Are you thinking about X, Y, and Z?" There was a woman and her daughter there, and the daughter is going to be getting married, and the father had passed away. And he said to her something along the lines of, he's okay with there was some kind of stress or some kind of worry that you have around being, walking down the aisle. Now, Anthony didn't know she was getting married, but he said, like, you're getting married, there's something around being walking. He's okay with it. Not, don't worry. Don't feel like he would be upset or anything like that. And she just, like, you could see she got tears in her eyes, and it was like, oh my gosh, he knew, this father knew, and was like, it's okay. Like, and he even said, I'm still gonna be walking down the aisle with you. I'll be on the other side of you. I'm still gonna be walking down the aisle with you. And that was so amazing and so beautiful. And there were so many instances where he would say something like, were you just thinking about doing this? Or did you have this idea to do this? Or blah, blah, blah. And people would go, oh my God, like, yes, I can't believe it. And so they know what you're thinking. They know what you are ruminating about. They know what you're worried about. They know all of it because they are in a place of pure energy, and our thoughts are energy. And so they can tap into that. So it's really telepathy, basically. And on the other side, they're very proficient in telepathy. So that's the first thing. The second thing that came through that I want to talk about is, and again, many of you may know this. A lot of these things I know, but I want to give you the specific examples. They are honestly helping you from the other side. They are really doing all they can do to help you and help your life and help your circumstances. So you can ask them for help. A lot of the times with my mother, I'll say, can you help me with X, Y, and Z? And then I'll always say to her, or if you're connected to somebody on the other side that you can maybe ask to help me, feel free to make that connection and feel free to ask that, on my behalf. That's sort of how I throw it to her. But I know that they are helping, and I'll tell you why from this particular example. So my niece just got into she got into a bunch of colleges, God bless her. But one of the colleges that was her dream, she really, really, really wanted to go to Arizona. She really, really wanted to go to the University of Arizona. And she got in, and she actually got a scholarship. And so Anthony looked at my sister and said, your niece is your daughter, because my niece, your daughter's going to be going to college. She got into her dream college. And my sister said, yes. And he said, your mother wants you to know she helped with that. She wants you to know she was opening doors. Now, whatever that means, I don't know how they help. I don't know what they do. I think it's the same way as any of our angels and guides and what they're able to control and have, and arrange situations. I always say, when you ask for help, right? When you ask the universe for help, including your angels, your guides, and your loved ones, they can set situations up. They can open doors. They can set up opportunities. They can link you to the right place at the right time. So anyway, we were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. And she was like, she's going to be good. Your mother's going to be there watching her. You don't have to worry about it. Because, she's going so far away. We live in New Jersey. It's like a 5.5 hour plane ride. And so of course you're going to worry, right? Like when your child it's not like you can get into a car and get to them. So she came through and was like, I don't want you to worry about it. She's going to be with her. She's going to be watching over her. And so that was really awesome. So they are helping from the other side. And there were a lot of other examples that came through. A lot of them, my uncle came through for my aunt too. And there were a lot of things like, watch out for this, or, like, have you been having a problem with this? You should try this. Like literally advice and information, and like from their viewpoint, right? They want to help you. They see everything. They know everything. They want to assist you. All you have to do is ask. If they can help, if they are allowed to intervene in some way as a loved one, they will do it, right? So it was just, it's so funny how you're like, oh my gosh, like what, my uncle told my aunt, I would maybe back off on dairy a little bit. And we were like, oh my God, how crazy. It's so crazy. So they are helping you from the other side. The other story that was so incredible, and I swear I knew it was going to happen. So my aunt had some people there that were friends of hers that we hadn't, my sister and I had never met. So we were talking to one of them, and he was talking about how his wife had passed, and I think she passed like a couple years ago. And then recently, I want to say it was his son and daughter-in-law. I can't remember exactly, but in his family, they lost a baby. I think it was at birth or right after birth, something along those lines, which is honestly, I think, one of the most devastating things. I remember interviewing James Van Prague, who's an amazing medium, years ago. And he said of all of the readings that he's ever done, the most devastating thing that he has found is to lose a child at any age, right? For a parent to lose a child, because it's so unnatural. You are, as a parent, you think, I'm going to go first. My children are going to outlive me. So anyway, so he was telling us the story, and I'm sitting there thinking, like, I guarantee his wife's going to come through and say something about the fact that she has this child. Like, this is just what I'm thinking in my head, because I've been to many readings, and I know that when you lose a child, even if it's a baby, they're still greeted and brought over the same way an adult would be greeted and brought over by loved ones. And so literally during the reading, his wife came through and she was talking and she was saying all this stuff. And then he gave a name, and the name was so unique. And he kind of gave a name that was like similar to it. And he's like, I don't know, it's an A name and it's female and it's young on the other side. And his eyes, what he was like, and he was like, oh my gosh, yes, I know what you're talking about. And she's saying so his wife was saying, I have the soul. I have that soul. He's like, but I'm getting very young. And he explained, yes, it was a baby. Chills ran through my whole body. And it was like, oh my gosh, so incredible that, if you know that if you've lost a child, or someone who's lost a child, please know that your loved ones will scoop that child up and take that child to the other side, even if it's a baby, even if it's whatever. We all have people who come and meet us. My mother told me that years ago in a reading that I had, that, you're not alone. They all come for you. All of your loved ones come for you to cross you over. So that was such a beautiful thing to sort of find out, to have that confirmation. And I thought it in my head when he was talking before the medium even got there. And I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, this woman is going to come through and say she has this baby. And she did. And it was so amazing. And we had chills. I had tears in my eyes. It was unbelievable. So that's the third thing I wanted to say. The other thing is, first of all, they can see your future, right? Because they're on the other side. So they can see your road. They can see where you're going. They can see what's coming, and they want you to know it's going to be okay no matter what, right? It's hard when you're here and you're human and you're living your life every day, because you think, gosh, I have no idea what's around the corner. I have no idea what's going to happen. And we worry about it and we stress about it. They can see it. So they will talk about it. And I think the reason they talk about it is, number one, they want you to know you're going to be okay. And number two, they want you to know that they already know what's happening and they are going to be there. They want you to know they are still very involved in your life, even though they are not physically here anymore, right? Years ago, my first mediumship reading ever that sort of started me off on this whole path was with a medium named George Anderson, who's still amazing, and still does readings as far as I know. And my mother came through and said, I know you want me back physically. Because this was we went maybe 10 months after she died. And, she kept saying, I know you want me physically back. I can't, obviously I can't do that, but I'm closer to you than you can imagine. Because now they can go everywhere with you. And I always remember thinking, like, my mother must love that, because she was an Italian, nervous Nelly of a woman, okay? Worried about everything, wanted to keep us safe all the time, and just nervous, okay? And I remember thinking, my gosh, now she can truly go with us everywhere. And they do. So they will talk about your future. So my mother came through and actually talked about the new book that I have coming out in April. And she's like, "You have a new book. It's with a different publisher this time," and literally gave me details about the book and marketing, and it was crazy. And so they will talk about your future, right? And so the same thing with my sister, with with my niece, saying like, "I'm going to be with her. She'll be all right. You don't have to worry about her." So they will talk about that stuff as well because they want you to know that they see it, they know it, they are with you, and whatever plays out in your life in the future, they will be around and they will be there to guide you, to assist you, to send you love, and to be aware, right? So that's the other thing that came through a lot. Another thing, and I said how we worry, right? And they can read our minds, and they know that we worry about stuff. They will talk about the things that we are worried about. They will address the things that we will worry about, and often they will say, "Don't worry about it." So, like I said, with the woman who is going to be getting married, he was like, "Don't worry." The father was like, "Don't worry about whoever you have walking down the aisle. I'm going to be next to you anyway. I'm fine with it. It's okay. I'm not upset." A lot of times when our loved ones pass, we think, "Oh my gosh, if I do this, would they be mad?" Well, maybe when they were here, they might have that, but on the other side, no. Very rarely do I think that they would be mad. But we give them those human physical body emotions, and we worry like, "Oh my gosh, if I throw out their favorite whatever, are they going to be upset with me? If I sell X, Y, and Z, will they be upset with me? If I go to this place that I know they hate it, are they going to be upset? If I talk to like we always think like, oh my gosh, we're gonna upset them in some way. And often they will come through to say, like, it's good, all's good. I'm not, it's good. But they'll talk about things that we are worried about. And it's funny, my mother also addressed like my sister's tendency and my niece's tendency to overthink things. I'm surprised she didn't name me also because I am a Virgo, and I'm, as I always say, as right brained intuitive as I am, I'm still very left brain thinking too much. But she talked about that and she was like, "Stop doing that. Half of the time, what you're worried about doesn't happen." And I was like, "Well, that's true for everyone," right? But they will address the things that we're worried about and say, "Don't worry." There were a couple of people where they said there were health things that they were dealing with right now. And I think there were two different people where their loved one came through and said, it's going to work out fine. You're going to be fine. Like somebody had to have surgery for something. And the loved one was like, "Stop worrying about it. Stop worrying about it. It's going to be fine. You're going to be okay." And it's like, oh my gosh, right? To just get those affirmations and those messages is amazing. So that is another thing, is they will come through and talk about things like that. They will also often, and this happened a lot. They will bring up old memories, like, "Remember the time, da 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 da," and they'll go down memory lane because they want you to know it's them, and B, they want you to focus on the good. So there were many things that came through for people where it was like, "Remember that time that this happened?" And, one of my aunt's friends started laughing and go, "Oh my God, I know what you're talking about. And a boat flipped over and it was hysterical, but we were nervous at the time, but now we're laughing about it." So like they bring these things up because they're like, "That's what I want you to remember. That's what I want you to focus on. Focus on the good. Focus on the good times that we had." And they also want you to know, like, "Hey, this is so and so, and they're talking about the boat, or they're talking about, and how would Anthony know that, right? From 20 years ago." And so that's always interesting to me. And then they'll talk about something that you just did. So were you just doing this? Or so like for example, my mother, I cracked up because she was talking to my husband. She actually talked to my husband more than she talked to me. And my mother never met my husband. My mother died when I was 22. I didn't meet my husband until I was 37. So he never met her in person, but he always says that he feels like connected to her. He feels like she watches him. And she came through and was like, "I'm with you. There's this. Why are you worried?" She's showing me the driveway and he's like, "Oh my gosh, because I have to do all this weed whacking. And every time I drive up the driveway, I think about it." And he was like, "Oh, she said, she knows you're worried about it." But she brought up, she's like, did you change a lock or did something happen with a lock?" And I started cracking up because my husband broke the lock thank God my husband can fix anything. So if he breaks it, he fixes it. But he broke the lock on our bedroom door, and I was so aggravated. I'm like, oh my gosh, you have to fix this lock. Like, I just don't like things that are out of place or whatever. And I said, you have to fix this lock, whatever. And he did. He recently fixed it. But what was interesting is they will bring things up that you were recently doing, recently talking about, recently thinking about, because they want you to know they see it all. They know it all. They're there. And so many people got messages where it was like, were you just looking at X, Y, and Z? And they would go, oh my gosh, I was just looking at it this morning. And he would go, oh, okay. So that they're just, validating that they were with you this morning, that they saw what you were doing. Like, were you just looking at this picture? Were you just doing this? Oh, my uncle was a watchmaker, and he came through to my aunt, was like, you're, there was something with a watch that needs to be fixed. And she goes, oh yeah. And he's like, he wants you to fix it. And she was like, no, I'm going to, it needs a new battery, whatever. And he's like, but no, were you just looking at it? And she goes, yeah, I just had it out this morning. Right. So those types of things, like they'll bring up things that recently happened in your life, or that you were recently doing or recently talking about. The father whose daughter's getting married, going to be getting married, came through and said something to the effect of, were you just looking at a dress in the closet? Why was there a dress in something about a dress in the closet, and you were going to take it out? And the mother, the woman's mother, was like, yes, I there was a dress in the closet. And he's like, wait a minute, but it's your wedding dress. And she goes, yeah, I want my daughter, the father had wanted her to just try on the mother's old wedding dress. And he's like, oh, okay. He's still saying, try it on, even if you don't use it. And she's like, literally 2 days ago, I was looking at the dress thinking I have to take it out. So it's like that type of stuff where you're like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. They were there, they knew. So my mother knew about the lock. Although it's so funny, my mother always, because my husband is like handy and can fix and do everything, she always brings up things that he needs to fix, which I honestly think it's because she's on my side, because I harp on him to fix stuff. For years, she complained about a door that was from the garage that led into the basement, and I had been complaining about it forever too, because it was broken. There was like, it wasn't sealed right, and I felt like bugs were coming in, and I can't stand it. And so for years, she would yell at him whenever we went to a medium or whatever. She would yell at him, and he finally fixed it. So now this time, she brought up the entry foyer. And she's like, is there something you want to do with the entry foyer? And I said, oh my gosh, yes, I want to redo the floor, the tile from when you walk in the front door. And she was like, oh, okay, Ryan needs to do that. And I was like, yes. Because like, she always says like what you need to fix or what is broken. Like, there was one time she didn't like the rug that I had. It was like an old rug, and I knew I needed to replace it by my back door in my family room. We had this rug, that was like fraying, and I'm like, I have to get a new rug. She brought up the rug, and she's like, she doesn't like that. You need to get a new one. And I was like, okay, mom, I get it. So they're still the same people. They're still the same personality, right? And it's just fascinating. It's totally fascinating to me. So anyway, and then the last thing, that last insight that I thought was cool, and that I've heard many times before also, is they hear your prayers to them. They hear you talking to them. So multiple people in this reading, Anthony, who was the medium, would say something to the effect of, you've been talking to this, that you've been talking to them, you've been asking them for help, or you've been, when you're in your car, you talk to them a lot, and people would go, yes. And it's like, they're validating, like, we hear your prayers. We know what you're asking for. We're doing what we can on the other side. We know you're talking to us. We hear you when you talk to us. Right? Even if you're doing it in your head, you don't have to do it out loud. Even if you're doing it in your head, going back to that first thing that I said, they know what you're thinking. And it's fascinating. And so they would, that was another thing that was really validated, is that they hear you. They hear you when you talk to them, when you ask them for help, if you ask them for strength, if you ask them for, advice or whatever it might be. And so again, all of these things just validate that they are around. They have not left. They have not gone anywhere. They physically are no longer here, but they 100% are still involved in your life. They know what's going on. If you go to my YouTube channel, I have a video specifically from my wedding, which was, oh my gosh, it'll be 4 years in October now, that my mother gave the most amazing sign in the middle of my wedding ceremony. And if you watch the video on my YouTube channel, you will see what I'm talking about to show that she was indeed there. It was literally at the moment where we mentioned her in the ceremony that the fire in back of us popped, blew up, a log fell down, scared everybody. And everybody, the rest of the wedding, everybody talked about it. Oh my God, that was your mother. You have to, if you have not seen that video, go to my YouTube channel and watch that video because it's amazing. So they are there. They are there for all the important moments. They see it all. They know it all. And if you allow them, if you open up to it, which is what the Universe is talking to you book is about, if you open up your awareness to it, you will get the messages. You will know in your own life that they are around you. And you don't have to go to a medium to get this confirmation. Obviously, if you go to a medium, it's amazing and you get amazing confirmation. I'm a huge proponent of it because it's just such a way to still be able to stay connected. That doesn't mean go to a medium often. I probably do it maybe once a year, every year and a half, something like that. If an opportunity pops up, I will check in, and my mother is always happy to come through and share and talk about things going on in my life and give me advice and tell me what to do and tell me to replace a rug. So it was just a really awesome small group experience. So I did link him, like I said, in YouTube and Facebook if you want to check him out. I know he does do small group readings. He also travels all over and does large group readings that you can get tickets for. So if you follow him on social media, he always posts about it. And he does individual readings also, but I do know he has like a 10-month waiting list at the moment. So if you do book a reading, you probably have to wait until at some point next year. But I just wanted to share all that with you, and I wanted to share the experience, and it was just so great, and it was so incredible. And even my husband was like, you just get like the time goes so fast because you just get so sucked in and you're just so like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. And even if you're not being read, you're so fascinated by it. And like I said, my husband got more from my mother than I did. But it's funny because I'll tell you something. Before we went, I talked to my mother. Literally, when I was putting my makeup on and getting ready, I talked to my mother and I was like, listen, even if you don't talk to me that much, it's all right. I've been talking to you for 20 something years since you've been gone. I want you to talk to my husband about a specific thing that he has been thinking about doing. And she came through with that. And it was just so funny because I literally said to her, like, you don't even have to talk. I'm cool. Like, you can talk to me, but if you could just address this one thing with him, that would be so cool. And she delivered. She delivered. And that doesn't always happen. Sometimes we ask them, I want them to, address this, or I want them to say this, or I want them to explain. They don't. They bring through what you most need to know and hear, not just what you think. But she really did. She came through for that. So that was awesome. But I wanted to just share that because I'm here talking about signs and synchronicity all of the time. And I always say I'm not a medium, but you don't have to be a medium to get these communications. And I just wanted to share with you some of these really amazing things that came through, not just for me, but for other people as well, that I think would be beneficial for anybody to hear. Okay, let me just say. Oh, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything. Susan Simpson asks, what do you mean allowed to intervene? So what I mean by that is sometimes, they can always provide support. They can always help you in any way they can. But, there are some things I think that are destined to play out. And they can only do so much, right? So you can't, I remember years ago, my mother coming through, this was in the George Anderson reading. And she said something along the lines of, she hears your prayers. She knows what you're asking for help with. She's not Santa Claus. She literally said that. Like, I can do everything I can to help you, but sometimes, like, I can't. Right? So that's what I mean by, like, if they're allowed to intervene. Like, sometimes things I think just have to play out in our life and they can support us in any way they can, but they can't necessarily make something happen. That's what I meant by that. Okay, let me just say. Oh, okay. So the medium I'm referring to, Mariana, you're on Facebook. So if you go into the description of this post, I actually have the link to his website, but it's anthonymaraca.com. Mrocka is the name, the spell, how to spell his last name, Mrocka. His website's just anthonymaraca.com. And again, on Instagram, you can just follow him at Anthony Maraca, and you'll find him. And he's great. I really have to have him on here, not to do readings, but just to chat and maybe answer some questions, because he also teaches. So in addition to being a medium, he also teaches other mediums. He teaches mediumship. He teaches other types of intuitive soul readings and things like that. Amazing. So if you're interested in any of that, I would follow him. And again, he posts everything. You can go to his website, but any like upcoming shows that he's doing. I mean, he travels all over California, Arizona, all over the US to do live, large groups. He partners with other mediums to do groups. He does them himself. He does small group things around New Jersey and New York. So if you follow him on like Facebook or Instagram, he will post what he has coming up, how you can get tickets. He'll also post when he's teaching a class on something as well, through social media. So that is what I'm talking about. So again, Facebook and Instagram, Facebook and YouTube, he is literally linked. I have him linked below along with my pendulum class, in the description. So you can see who I'm talking about. Okay, let's see if I missed anything else. I think that is everything that I got. Okay. So yeah, that's what I wanted to come on here and share with you. And again, if you are interested in learning the pendulum, that class is open. That is linked below. Unlock the Secrets of the Pendulum. It's like a 90-minute class that I teach every year, and I so look forward to it. And I teach you how to get a yes or no, but so much more. I bring all sorts of products. I show you how to test them. I show you how to see what's right for you. I show you how to find and clear blocks in your chakra system as well as other people. I actually taught my husband how to do it. I remember years ago, I taught my husband how to do it, and he was able to do it for me, and I was able to do it for him. It's very simple and easy once you know how to do it, and you use a pendulum to do it. Also, finding and clearing limiting beliefs, and all of that is in that pendulum class. And I only do it once a year in July, and it is open now. The doors are open now. And you can either get a pendulum on Amazon or Etsy, or you can use any necklace with a pendant to take the class. You can even use a wet tea bag. So, and then obviously people usually wind up going out and getting pendulums anyway. We did have some free pendulums available. They are all gone. They were gone rather quickly when we opened the doors. But the doors are open now through July 27th. And then that's it. It won't be available again until next year. But if you purchase the class, it's live at 6 p.m. Eastern, but you get unlimited access to the replay once it's done. So you can go back and watch it. And you also get a PDF workbook. I always forget to tell people you get a PDF workbook that literally details everything I'm teaching. So you don't have to take notes. You can just hang out and have fun. So anyway, I hope this was helpful to you. You're very, very welcome. Carrie, you're very welcome. I always like to share my experiences because I feel like they will help other people in some way. You are very welcome. Yes, Susan, it gives you peace knowing your mom and dad are still in your life. 100%. It does. It really does. It's so awesome. Oh, thank you, Nancy. She's taken my pendulum class before. It's so much fun. I can't even explain to you how much fun we have in that class. I love it. I thought my grandmother barely heard my prayers for help. Oh no, they hear them. I promise you they hear them. They hear them and they do absolutely everything they can do. And if you ask her for a sign, she will let you know that she hears them. She will let you know. Say, listen, I need you to give me a sign that you hear my prayers, that you hear what I'm asking for. Because, and you can even assign her a sign. You can say, can you please use the sign of XYZ, whatever that sign may be, you pick it. To let me know that you hear my prayers, and they will 100% respond. They always respond when we ask. They always respond when we ask. Ruth, yay! Ruth is in my membership community, and she's looking forward to the pendulum class. I can't wait. Honestly, I look forward to it every year, and I have a blast every year in that class with everybody. because it's such a fun tool and I use it every day. And I promise you, you will use it every day once you learn how to use it. It's constant. I've taught my niece how to use it. She's 18. She uses it all the time. It's the best. So if you want to learn that link is below as well. So thank you all for joining me today for another weekly spirit boost. I will of course be back here next week at Thursday at noon Eastern for another episode. And I am going to I'm going to reach out to Anthony and see if I can get him on here again, not to do readings because you can't really do readings in this setting, but I'm going to see if I can just have him come on and answer questions and talk about his experience and talk about intuition because he teaches it and all of that. I think that would be fun. So I'm definitely going to do that. All right. Well, thank you all for being here. I am going to go. I have to actually go out and go and ship more pendulums for the people who got them. And that is basically what I'll be doing today. So have an amazing and wonderful weekend. As I always tell you, please do something for yourself this weekend that brings you joy to boost yourself and boost your vibration. If you want to hear from a loved one, assign them a sign. If you don't know how to do that, you can go to my YouTube channel and there's a video on it. And also check out that video on the sign from my mother because you will be so incredibly shocked and that's why I had to put it out there. I was like, this is if this isn't a sign that our loved ones are here on important moments and even not important moments, I don't know what is. So anyway, have an amazing weekend. Sending my love to you all, and I will see you back here next week. Bye everyone.